Madam Deputy Speaker. It's been important to have this debate this afternoon, and I congratulate the Honourable Member for Stoke-on-Trent North on her opening speech. The debate has been important because of the significance of the defence aerospace industry to this country and to our nation's defence. This afternoon, I briefly want to make 2 points. The second point is about the need for a well-thought-out industrial strategy for the sector. But first, I want to refer to the particular problem that has been experienced with BAE Systems. As the member for Preston has said, in October, BAE Systems announced that up to 1,400 jobs were to be lost in its military aerospace business over the next 3 years. BAE has said that the cuts will be implemented by the 1st of January and will affect managers as well as production line workers. At its aerospace bases at Warton and Samsbury in Lancashire, where parts of the Eurofighter Typhoon are made and assembled, there will be 750 job losses. In BAE's other aerospace base in Brough, in East Yorkshire, there will be a near halving of its workforce to 500. This has made all the more difficult to bear because 500 jobs were previously lost at this site just 4 years ago. These job losses will have a devastating impact on the individuals affected and their families. It will also hit those communities which have a long tradition of providing workers for the aerospace industry. Moreover, many of these jobs are highly specialised and extremely skilled. Once those skills have been lost to the industry, it will be enormously difficult to replace them, as a member for North Durham has said quite accurately. A few days ago, my honourable friend, the Shadow Defence Secretary and other members of the opposition wrote to the new Secretary of State for Defence. The letter made a number of important points and calls upon the government to take action in a number of areas. The letter refers to the fact that the Hawk Advanced Jet Trainer is currently in use by 18 countries across the world, and it is therefore vital that the UK does its utmost to provide the Hawk aircraft as a good option for other nations as well. I would therefore like to ask the Minister what steps the government are taking to promote the Hawk Advanced Jet Trainer abroad. As we all know, the Hawk is the aircraft of the iconic Red Arrows. In a few years' time, the Red Arrows will need to renew their Hawks, and therefore it makes sense for the government to bring forward orders for the new Hawk T2s so that there can be a continuity of manufacture. As the Minister for Procurement, the Honourable Member will know, there is a precedent for this. The government has brought forward orders for offshore patrol vessels to fill gaps in orders and to support shipyards and workers. If the government can do it once, they can do it twice. There is also the statement of intent with Qatar, with the former Defence Secretary, which the former Defence Secretary signed for the purchase of 24 Typhoons and 6 Hawk aircraft. This was signed earlier in the year. We want to see this statement of intent firmed up as quickly as is humanly possible. This contract is of tremendous importance, and I would be appreciative if the Minister could update us on any progress that has been made. The problems which are being faced by BAE Systems at the moment serve to highlight the more general problem of a lack of a defence aerospace industrial strategy. We welcome the fact, even though belatedly, the government has produced a national shipbuilding strategy, as a member for Stoke-on-Trent North mentioned. We would argue that there ought to be a strategy also produced for the defence aerospace industry. And can I pay tribute to the Honourable Member for Godlington on the way he has put forward a case. Such a strategy should contain a number of elements. For example, there ought to be full engagement of industry so that industry is able to develop a more strategic approach to technological development and address the present and future needs of the armed forces. There must be a long-term commitment by government to development by the aerospace sector with an emphasis on exports. There needs to be a long-term perspective in order to give confidence and certainty, which in turn will encourage business investment. There ought to be a perpetual encouragement for industry to develop new, innovative approaches and technologies. This would require, we believe, the government to allow industry the necessary room to develop more blue sky thinking. And when we look at Britain's national interest, it cannot be right for Britain to be buying so many of our capabilities off the shelf from our American allies, as a member for Barrow and Furness has correctly argued this afternoon. In place of short-termism and going for a quick fix, the government really ought to see things in the long term and value the economic contribution which the defence industry makes to the British economy and to the nation's balance of payments. Let us not forget that defence manufacturers in general and the aerospace sector in particular pay corporation tax and employee national insurance, and they have subcontractors and suppliers. In this context, it has been suggested, as the Chair of the Select Committee, the member for New Forest East, has mentioned, there ought to be a general government commitment to an examination, at least, the development of a next generation of combat aircraft. It has been suggested that such an aircraft will enter service in the 2030s and replace the Typhoon-class aircraft. I would like to know what the government's position on this suggestion is. Madam Deputy Speaker, today we've had a good debate on an important subject. There can be no doubt that it is absolutely vital that Britain has a vibrant defence aerospace sector. We have a workforce of which we can be proud and an industry which is full of enthusiasm and commitment. What we need, Madam Deputy Speaker, is a government policy which is up to the challenges we face. Thank you.
Minister Harriet Baldwin.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker, and it gives me great pleasure to respond to this debate this afternoon. And again, I congratulate the Honourable Lady for Stoke-on-Trent North and the Honourable Member for Witney for securing it. And we've heard 14 really interesting and compelling backbench contributions over the course of today's debate.